Hello.
Hey, good evening.
How's it going?
Very good, thank you. And you?
Good, good. So you got a bunch of smooth voxels examples set up?
Yeah, I thought I'd play some stuff here for the people who
Mm,
haven't seen anything yet.
for sure, for sure. Phew, excuse
Gesundheit.
me. Thank you. Very nice.
There's
Me.
something wrong here with the environment maps. They don't pick up the environment maps here, so there's no standard environment map,
Hmm.
which typically is the case. So
Interesting.
that's why the Chrome is black, because it's not picking up an
Ah,
environment
I
map.
see. You say it would normally do that in like regular hubs or just in
No,
general?
if you put it in general, if you, for instance, drag these same models in Don's GLTF viewer, you see the same, you see the background or the environment map. So
Hmm.
I've seen it in other places as well. They pick it up, so just not here.
I see, I see.
I don't know how it works in other hubs, if it's specifically for this environment or if it's never in hubs. I don't know.
It might be this environment because I know this is like one of their older ones.
Ah, well,
Yeah.
I picked
Yeah.
models where you wouldn't notice it so much. So
Hmm.
I noticed it because of the Chrome indeed. So that's the only place I'm missing it.
I see. Yeah, let me queue up an announcement real quick. Let me remind people to adjust their display names also.
Hello, hello.
I got you.
Hello.
I, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me as well?
I got you.
Jazeker.
Hi, iPhone Jim.
Hey, hi.
Hey guys.
Hey, good evening.
First meetup on my own Hubs Cloud instance. Which this is surprisingly like troublesome to get set up. Um, I like they have you do it through AWS, right? And they have these templates, but the first template that I tried had like a permissions issue with the like storage buckets that I had to figure out how to do. And then they released a new template fixing that because there was also an issue with like core stuff. And then I try to update it to that template and there's another error and it's like another permissions error on a bucket, which thankfully I was able to just fix that and now this is working. But I just remember like trying to do this. I'm just like, man, how does anyone set this up for the first time?
No,
Could
it's
that be the issue with sending emails as well then? Is that something you have to
Yes,
set up?
I think I because it's supposed to get hooked up to AWS stuff like automatically. I might still be in the sandbox. I'll have to take another look at that.
hey, so, hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, good evening.
Yeah, yeah, I can relate to that issue as well because I was setting hopes up self-hosted and it was a pain in the ass.
Hmm.
But I finished it after 2 or 3 days. It took
Yeah.
to get it working. So it's one of those ones where it takes some time. Put it
Mm,
that way.
yeah.
But it's not perfect. It doesn't work out the box, does it? It's just like half working, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
And
How's everyone doing?
doing good.
Sorry, what are
Yeah.
you gonna say?
I was just gonna say this, like at least with the AWS stuff, it's like I just needed to like modify a template file and like mess around in the AWS console. I know there are people that try to like self-host the whole stack on their own
Yes, yes.
machines, and that just seems like too much work. There's like
Yeah.
6 microservices involved and like using hubs and reticulum. It's just too much.
But you know though, if you need help with that, I can help you get set up. I got it in Docker running now. Like it's all a Docker setup. So it's just
Mm.
like it just works all in like one Docker compose file. So it makes
Oh,
it a lot
nice.
easier. But
Yeah, I mean, I've got this working for the time being, so.
yeah, because I saw many people have issues with the AWS. Everyone's complaining that it's like not working.
Mm.
Like it seems more complicated if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I had a
But
car
way more.
in the corner. Someone throw away my car accidentally,
Oh
or what?
no. Did it go under?
I don't
God,
know.
is
Yeah,
it just
sometimes
gone?
they do indeed. Yes. Okay. I'll
I
leave
think
it.
you need to pin down the car.
Probably.
True.
But yeah. So whose event is it?
Hello?
Yeah, whose
Yeah.
Sorry.
event is this? Whose event is this?
Like, how do
What do you,
you?
what do you mean? Whose event? It's your event and ours.
Yes.
Oh, it's all our event.
It's
That's awesome.
yeah, it's the monthly meetup.
Yeah, it's my first time here, you see, so I'm just wondering, like,
Okay.
what we do.
Ah, I see. I see.
I see.
Whoever is interested is can come and can listen, or I can do a presentation if you want on what you're working on.
Oh yeah, yeah. Can I do a presentation after some time? Yeah, I got something to show as
Oh, yeah.
well. I got something really exciting.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of presentations, Earthworm Jim, if you
Yeah.
wanna go ahead and get us started, and tell us about the new smooth
Yeah, let me
voxels.
Yeah,
get a
nice.
screen back up.
Dum-dum.
No, there is some lighting issues. I don't see. Like a missing global illumination, or global light.
Drive stream
How
camera.
do I get this
Do you
big?
hear me?
Huh? Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anyone know
You
how
got
to get this that big?
Hold up.
It
You
should
just gotta
be.
get it a little
It wants
closer.
to. Oh, that's it. So I can't see you. I only have a laptop, so I only see one screen at a time. So I hope you can see everything here.
You're good.
So this is smooth voxels. Let me just jump right in. I released version 2 yesterday. For a little bit of background on myself, I'm not or have not been for a long time a professional programmer anymore, professional developer. I have teams doing that for me, so that's always nice. But I used to do a lot of programming, and I did a lot of 3D in the past. And once I started with WebVR, I actually thought, oh, that's really cool, but wow, all of those primitives are really crappy. So I started out doing this sort of a little bit, and then that sort of got some extreme feature creep. So that's where smooth voxels came from. So let me just start out, show you a couple of the models to give you some idea of what is possible. So you see here different styles that you can do. Because basically what I do is smooth out voxels. So if you look on the left-hand side, basically what you have is ASCII art or Markdown or whatever you want to call it. So this whole model is actually just these voxels, and I can up and download to Magica voxel if you want to, for instance, and edit it there. But this I typically have done manually. That's easy enough. So you can change those. You can add shells around it. You can make it different material types. You can deform it. You can scatter it so it looks a bit rough. Those sort of things. So let me show you some models. The number of material examples here. You can easily make something that looks really sort of voxely, but it's actually using baked lighting as well. So when you look in the room behind you, you see the red and blue with the spheres in it. That's all baked lighting. So it's just basic material with baked lighting in there. So you can create lights. You can create ambient occlusion, for instance. So you can really get some quite complex models, but everything is just simply voxels, and the voxels are sort of smoothed out. So let me do a short explainer of the things you can do, and I'll start out with just voxels. So let me start out with a very simple model. So this is the same model you saw before, nothing in there. So let's start out with a couple of simple things. So let me turn off the rotation. That makes it a bit easier to see what I'm doing. So let's first start working on this S here. So here you see the material for the S model. This means I've actually edited this in Magica Voxel. So that's the index there. So I didn't remove it, but I can remove it now. Okay. Let me start out with simply doing making a bit smooth. So deform equals 5. So now you see this thing has gone a bit soft around the edges, but that also means I need a bit of different lighting. So let me go smooth. Now it looks a lot better, but it's a bit boring. So let me make it a bit more interesting. Lamp. Let me explain one thing before I do that, by the way. Actually, this model is built up in layers, and the layers are bottom to top. So actually, what I did here was I rotated it, but this is actually what the model looks like without rotating. So when I want to make the backside flat, for instance, I'll do clamp equals minus y, but that's actually down here. You still see, because everything is now smooth, it doesn't really look flat. So let me fix that. I'm saying not just smooth, but give me both smooth and flat surfaces. So now I've got a nice smooth front end and a nice flat back end. And of course, I can change the material. So this 0, a bit shiny, add some metalness. It's metallic. Oh, now we have a nice one of those. So let me try this one out. So do the same thing. I'm just sort of recreating the one you saw in the beginning. So that had also a bit of smoothness to it. But actually, that was rough, the V, so it did something like this. So now you see it looks a sort of low poly sort of model, because it's actually just moving all of the vertices a bit around. Then this one, of course, let me change the material here, because that's sort of a, what do you call it, glass-like. So let me take, well, let's do this one. Okay, I need an environment map, it says. So let me add an environment map here at the top. Okay, that looks better. Clamp it. Now I've got a flat sort of glass shiny disc. So that's sort of the way that the original logo looked that I showed in the beginning. One thing was different. There were some shells around it. So let me try one for this one. So I create a new material. Equals basic. It's a simple material. Side. So for the back side, colors, I need a sort of voxel color, but in this case, it's not actually voxels, it's the shell. So let me call it shell to make it easier to recognize. So now I've got the shell material, and I want to show it on the X. So shell equals shell at 0.5. Okay. So now I've got a nice white outline, because I'm showing the backside of the outline. So basically I double all the vertices, or all the faces. So let me try something else. Then we have this sort of circle, and if you look, it's not really circularly, because it's not actually a circle. So let me make that a bit more round. And what I actually do is sort of counterintuitive, but I'm going to make it flat, or a square. Let's take away those. These O's fit.
Oh.
Okay, take away all of those. You get sort of used to doing a lot of this stuff manually over time. So I'm pretty adept at doing it like this. Now I'm missing somewhere. What did I miss? 6 voxels somewhere. What did I do? Somewhere I made a mistake. Oh, here I made a mistake. I selected a bit too much. Okay, now it doesn't look round anymore, of course. So let me first take out this, so it's really square. What I can do is I can make this a group. And if I have a group, I can sort of separately manipulate it. So group ID equals O. I'm going to go here. Group equals O. So now I've made a separate group You see immediately it sort of falls out because it's a fully separate one. It starts in the middle again, etc. So I need to move it back. I'm moving it back to its position. I would say something like this. Way, something along those lines, or no? Okay, it's back in place, but now since it's a separate group, I can also separately shape it. And actually one of the shapes is shape equals cylinder Y. Remember, it's lying flat, so it's actually a cylinder in the Y direction. So basically, it's a cylinder in the Y direction, but that makes it round because I just shape every voxels to sort of fit that round stuff. So for, let's say, the final act on this logo, let me add some lights because you can also create some lights. Again, like you see in the blue and red spheres in the room there, you can add some lights. So I do the same thing. I need a material. I need some lights. Usually make it a bit of a wrong color so I recognize where they are. And let me add some lights here. Where do I want to go? Let's put them here. Here. And here. And maybe here. These are just voxels, but what I'll do, I'll create some lights which are actually intersecting with those voxels, or in the same place as those voxels. So light at voxel L. Now at the place of these voxels, so the voxel L, which are these voxels, I've created a light. Well, I can show them, that makes it a bit easier to sort of manipulate. So now you can see that actually for those 3 voxels, because it's 3 layers thick here, you see on the left here 3, so I actually created 3 lights. And these lights sort of light up the thing. It's maybe a bit too bright, so let me scale down the intensity a bit. But they're sort of boring all together, so let me move them about a bit. And like I did before, I can do the same thing here. Oh, not on the lights, but on the material, of course. Scatter, and then really scatter them around a lot. So let's say move these lights a lot. But of course, since I'm scattering the voxels, they look really stupid. So let me hide the voxels. So I say hide both X, Y, and Z faces. Now you can actually see those 3 voxels which created lights on 3 places. So I've got 9 lights. And every time I sort of regenerate it, it places it on a different place. So that's sort of the basics of what you can do. You can go a bit further and make it a bit complexer, for instance, by using some code generation. So I've got some standard generations here that you can sort of try out, and every time I regenerate it, I get a different one. But they can be quite complex, so you can create some complete tree like this, because they are separate groups. And if you look here, that's a really big model actually. But if you look at the voxels, it's just a few voxels because I only have 1 branch and I've got 3 different colors of foliage. So I've got green, dark green, and the flowers. And that's about it. And some changes in the material to make it scatter a bit, and that's about it. So one more thing I wanted to show, because I actually I really like for myself to sort of play around with this, but I always want to see them in VR. So I added something which is actually I think also quite useful if you're not working with this. I created a separate tool which is called Smooth Share, and it shares only text, because my models are text. So I can actually do it like this. I have here, I've got a secret key here. I don't know who to do it in. You have to type it in twice, but it then remembers it, so you only have to do that once. So I can actually copy this to the clipboard and then go here, and here I can copy the clipboard to the server. And then I go into my Quest or my Oculus Go, and there I run the same thing with the same secret key. And there actually I'm using the other button, which I hit here, which is the server to clipboard. And then I can easily copy it in. But if you're not doing smooth voxels, this actually I extract the URLs as well. And so far, for me at least, this is the easiest way if I have a URL on my laptop or on my phone. This is how I nowadays sort of share it quickly to my Quest. So if you want to use that for just sharing your URLs, you're fine as well. But I use it also a lot to move some models around. So I added lots and lots of documentation. So if you didn't get that all, so it's a bit fast. Lots of documentations with the explanations, etc. I have some example. Some examples in a separate environment that you can copy on Glitch. So you can look at the source code. And actually, there are some ways of doing it, because you can from the smooth voxel playground, you can save your models as just GLTF models, but you can also save it as generate the code. You can generate a full A-frame scene with your model in it, and just when you host it somewhere, it works. So that's actually what you see here. If I go to the examples, and I got this is an A-frame component where you can just live generate these, but you can also export it as a. This is just JavaScript basically, so it's not generated, but it's completely written out as JavaScript. But it also shows some things like let me see this one, because one of the features is, for instance, you can also add vertex data. So for every vertex, you can add some data. In this case, I add a direction and an amplitude. And I move these vertices depending on that. So in the model, I just specify, hey, this one needs to go in the X direction or in the Y direction. And this is the amplitude. And you see actually that it sort of moves the stuff. So you can make a shader which has extra data per vertex to do these sort of things. So all of that, that's about it, smooth voxels. So questions?
Yeah, how big are the models? Like, how big is the GLB models when you export it?
They are typically slightly bigger than if you, for instance, would manually make them, because I can show that here. Let me take a bit of a simpler model. Which one shall I take? That one. So this is a relatively simple model. If I put wireframe on, you can see that it it already simplifies, but this is not sort of as much as you can go. If you put your GLB file in Blender, you can decimate a lot more. So we did the Boothapalooza a while back, where I had a booth which I reduced, I don't know, to 20% of the, just by in Blender decimating it still. So it's typically bigger than a handcrafted model, because in a handcrafted model you can really specify where you want everything. And here you start out with all of the faces of all of the voxels, and I can remove some of them. But for instance, since the ambient occlusion is on vertices, you always end up with a lot of vertices. So let me show you the red and blue room, which is also there in the actual room. So this is the model. And now if I do wireframe here,
that lighting is baked, right?
it's baked, but it's vertices baked, which is actually performance-wise probably better than having it baked in textures, because it's much less data than if you add a full texture to it, and it doesn't do a texture lookup. It's in the vertex data. but you can see that that does mean, since every vertex here is differently lit because it's sort of a very complex lighting, it doesn't, it can't simplify all of these faces. So if I take away the ambient occlusion here, and I take away the lights, now you can see, now I can certainly completely simplify it, but I couldn't before because it's just every voxel looks slightly different lit. And the models themselves, so these are really ridiculously small, and they're so small that you can actually do stuff like this. Let me do the model again. So this model, I can actually put in a URL. It's that small. So let me copy a viewer URL. So now it's on my clipboard. And if I open a new tab, you just paste the URL in, and you can see here the whole model. So you see here the lights, colors, intensity, more colors, etc., ending up with the compressed voxels. Here you see this is all that's left of all of those voxels. So only the selected part now, that is the voxels. And if I press enter, you get into the viewer, you get the same thing, but it's now actually taking it directly from the URL. So you have your whole model just purely in the URL. So typically that's the case. If you compare it to, for instance, Magica Voxel, for filled models, it's much smaller. Typically, if you use a compressed version of smooth voxels, so they can be really tiny for quite complex models, until you start adding textures and stuff, because those are base 64 and they don't compress much anyway. So.
Can they?
So
I'm pretty sure the limit is a little smaller than that, Jim.
Sorry?
He was asking how long URLs can be.
I think 32K or something along those lines. There are browsers where
Chrome is 32K.
Yeah, the modern browsers, I tried it in a number of them. They all sort of hit that number. Some can be even longer. Used to be 2K for some, but that's no longer the case for the most browsers.
32 kilobytes.
Yeah. So it's not meant for, let's say, someone who's good in Blender should just use that, because you can make stuff better and smarter there. Artist. What I noticed that I've done a lot of, for instance, Unity, and I've done some Blender and stuff, but every time I need to do something, sort of, I haven't done it for 3 months, and then I'm gone for a couple of days to sort of try it out. This is much more something that a developer sort of understands. It's just relatively straightforward code, and if you have some experience with the 3JS and materials and stuff, it's all exactly the same. The same terms as you see in the documentation of 3JS. So if you look at the cheat sheet, all of these are just the different materials, and these are all standard. Is all standard stuff that's in 3JS. So if you're sort of used to that, this is relatively easy to pick up. Some things are, I think, quite a lot easier because you can generate it. It generates really simple because it's purely a string. So sort of anyone who can program even a little bit can generate a string. And typically what you do, you first sort of code out all of the materials, and then all you have to generate is the voxels, and then you can get anything going. So again, some example here is, which one is it? Procedural generation, this one. This is a really small generated model of a planet, and actually even the stars here are generated. So even the stars are voxels. So that's a really simple to do because it's pure text. So anyone can sort of 3D generate some procedural stuff and fit that in here. But
look, what is like a voxel? What's a voxel? Sorry to ask that question, but is it like another object or something?
Voxel is let me start out here. Let me clear this one. Where did it go? Default scene. Here.
Oh, 3D
Oh.
pixel.
It's a 3D pixel, and that's just it. So here I've got a couple of these, and every time I add an A somewhere, I get an extra voxel.
Oh. So is it quite efficient to use voxel then to build like complex objects?
Well, the fun is you can actually. So if you look, for instance, I had it in the room before, but it got somehow deleted. So let me show you this one. This is a really complex model. If you look at it, this is relatively complex. So
Yeah, that is complex.
that's it. But if you look at the model itself, let me take out all of the materials. So it's this is what it is. It's pure voxels, and not that many voxels either. But because you smooth them out, it looks quite detailed, even though it's a relatively small 48 by 15 by 25 voxels model, which is not a very big voxel model. But since it's all smoothed out, it becomes, it looks like a lot more. So if you look, for instance, like a couple of these, so
Yeah, that's quite powerful.
I will like this one, for instance. This looks really detailed and really great, but it's 35 by 35 voxels. This is, yeah, it doesn't look that that hot
So hold
actually.
on.
But
So when you know when you're making the voxels, you have to like do it by hand, or is it any tool that you can use to make the voxels for you?
let me show you. So if I want to edit this one, I can save it. So save to Magica Voxel, which is sort of the most used voxel editor I know it about, at least. Let me move it here. So I've got that one. Now I open Magica Voxel, and I actually just open up that one. So here, this is my my model. So let me take out the middle. Okay, save it again, reload it. And I've got the edited here.
Oh,
So
yeah, I
that's
see.
sort of how you make this sort of stuff. And do this in Blender, you're sort of really busy. Let's put it like that. So there's some things which you cannot do. There are some models you cannot make. Sometimes I have to sort of tweak it a bit because some shapes just won't fit nicely in certain voxels. But especially with this new release, where you can sort of group voxels and make a separate group to do some stuff. So one of the things I never got around to finishing it, but it gives a really good feel of what you can do, is something like this. Because you're basically moving all of those spokes are separate, basically just a row of voxels. So it looks quite detailed, but if you look at the model, it's yeah, a couple of stuff, but you don't even recognize it anymore. So this stuff is your tire, the big square, and these sort of shaped things are this fork at the start, and then you've got this big one. I don't know, that's the ease here. So you sort of play around a bit with it. This one, sort of where you get to, okay, probably this is for someone who does a bit of Blender, this is probably easier in Blender than doing it in this one. But you can also actually use this to sort of build a model first and then take it into Blender to sort of change it and tweak it there, because it sort of gives you a quite powerful and fast way to make something quite organic looking that sort of feels really nice, and then you can change it afterwards. So if you take something like this you typically don't want to sort of manually have to create in Blender, but you can easily do it here. I don't really like it, so let me do it a bit differently. So every time I run it, I get a different one. I go, okay, well, you know, maybe Let's do it in rainbow colors.
So then it can like automatically generate a shape for you then. What's that doing? Is it generating like a random like what's it doing?
Yeah, so let me start out with a simple one. If I do a sphere, you get this. But basically, what it does is simply the formula that you can use. If I do 1, generate it, every voxel is filled. And if I do, in the case for the noise, which I just showed you, where did it go? Noise. Actually, it's using a noise function to sort of generate whether it should put a voxel in or not.
And-
But that's about it.
How do you handle text and fonts? Do you have like libraries you can use or anything like that?
It's definitely not meant for that, because there are ways to do that. But yes, you can, because I actually did, because I'm always sort of have the same sort of ID. But it's basically a bitmap font, because basically here you see the characters, and I just generate them out. So hello.
Yeah,
Three.
like ASCII text. Yeah.
That's about it. But it's basically indeed simple bitmap fonts. So it's it's typically not meant for that, but hey, you can do it if you want. So yeah, it's really sort of, if it's sort of small models, you can do it at runtime. So you can pretty much create stuff at runtime. But if your models become bigger, then and especially if you do all of the baked lighting, that can take a bit of time. If you looked at this one is the sort of the most complex one I've got. This one, you'll see that takes about 5 seconds to generate. So this is sort of looks like the Hello Mozilla sort of world. You can, but it's with lights and ambient occlusion, etc. That takes a bit of time. But since everything is baked, it's really quite optimal. If you run this model, I can run it on my Oculus Go, which is I don't know, 5 years old now or something like that, and it runs at 60 frames a second. So because it's all just pure basic material types, but everything is baked in, it's still quite performant to do this.
That's all vertex baked?
Yes, yes. No, there's the textures you see are only the images. So this is a texture.
How big of a
and then
file
these are
is that,
textures.
if you remember? I'm just wondering.
The GLB of this one?
Yeah, the GLV.
Let me do that. It's mainly it's still the textures which are the biggest one. Of course, you can't actually do this because GLBs don't support normal textures, for instance. They only support basic and standard textures. So this one you can't even put in a GLB file. But I can do it, and what I can do is export it as JavaScript, and then you have a sort of a model in JavaScript, which you can load there. And that's sort of similar size-wise. But let me take one that we can do.
Oh, is it trying to save those orbs? I thought it was gonna. Is it combined with the scene?
Yes, yeah. It's all it's basically one object. It's not a scene. It's one object. Even in this case, even the sky map is just a very big cube. So one voxel, but then blown up to about out of proportion, basically. But let me take a bit of
Sky map
a
is a cube? Oh. Wow. Okay.
Well, most
But-
of them are cubes.
But
Oh,
it's
oh,
size-wise, it's not bigger than normal GLBs are typically. It
This
could be a
isn't
bit more vertices, but because you don't have baked textures. The overall size of the GLB is typically the same or probably smaller than a full baked scene.
This is super cool. I'm just wondering, like, did you consider like making any or building in a part of this that could like bake animations into your models?
It's on I think it's probably on my number 1 or number 2 spot. But like I say, this last going from version 1.2 to 2 already took me a year. So and that's but it's possible in your GLTF files to store animation. So it's definitely something I'm sort of thinking about doing at some point. But I sort of this is my side project for about 2 or 3 years now, and I'm actually always do this because I want to do something else, but I need this sort of, so I never get around to my main sort of my own pet projects because I'm always doing this to sort of increase the functionality here before I can continue with my pet project. But so I'm not sure if I'll do that soon, but it's definitely on my list to do at some point because that does make your stuff really go alive. For instance, one like this one. Where is it? So probably yeah, this one. I would really like it if this could rotate, for instance.
Yeah. This is insane. This is really, really, really cool.
Yes, there is an A-frame module to a component, so you can run it immediately in your environment. So if I'll show you one that I did.
Is this just you, or is there a team working on this?
It's a very small team of one person. So this now, it takes a little bit of time because it's actually generating all of these, and it's using a web worker to do so, because that's why you saw sort of the models kick in slowly. Actually, the web worker is slower than doing it straight up. Don't know what happened here. I changed something in my format in this version, so that's probably it. So that animation is actually just a normal animation, not in there. But if you do textures, this sort of stuff is just voxels, so relatively straightforward again to build stuff like this. So this is all generated on the spot. So it's not these are not GLB models. They're just purely the text representation as you saw in the playground. Okay. Thank you very much.
Just one question.
Thank you.
Is this still one model, or are these different?
No. These are different. So all of these you can also see they're sort of moving sort of separately.
Mm-hmm.
All of these are rotating. All of these pickup models, they're all those are all separate A-frame components. So these are all it's A-frame, and these are all separate A-frame components. But basically, what you do is let me just show you the code how that works. It's in the models. It's really simple to do. So here I've got some models. So the pickup items look like this. So let me pick one that's sort of easy to do. Health one, that's this one here under the cursor. So it's just an X small or plus. So this is the model, this part. And you actually say it's for SVOX models, and you just create one with that name. And then if I go to the main scene, that one, find health one, it's the SVOX model, do it in a worker, so it's done offline. Like I said, it's actually slower than doing it straight up. And you just move it around like normal, and that's it. And the mix-in just makes it rotate. But this is basically creating that whole model, the little bit of text and this, and you have a model running there. It's really simple to make these sort of pickup items and just make a bunch of them. And you don't have to sort of, you're not making GLB files or anything. It just generates them on the fly.
Have you thought about doing a demo with like a physics engine coupled with this too?
Nope. Not that I wouldn't like it, but like I said, I sort of this takes up a lot of time, and I actually I do have quite a busy daytime job, so sometimes I just don't have time for this as well. So there's a lot of ideas I have, and like I said, I'm actually doing this because I want to do other stuff, and every time I go there, I go, okay, I want to do something with shaders, but I need per vertex data, so I added a per vertex data feature to this. So I keep sort of adding stuff here. And then I decided to do something with shaders, with materials. And I thought, well, it's a bit silly that I don't actually have all of the material stuff in there. So that was the biggest part of this release, putting in almost all features of 3JS in that you can just declare them here. So I think for especially in that combination with 3JS or A-frame, this is more powerful than typically what you can do in Blender, because you can use all the materials that are there you can use in your models, but you can then not save them as GLB because they don't support all materials.
Do you have a dedicated like Discord server or Slack for this project?
No, I do have. I'm like I said, I'm now we get to the part where I say, okay, I'm really an amateur in programming. I used to be quite a proficient programmer. Nowadays, I'm sort of behind the times on some things. So especially this is not on GitHub. It's only on Glitch. You can just download the code there. You can look at it. You can. It's all on the MIT, so you can do with it what you want there, and copy it in your own program. But I'm a lot on Discord nowadays, on the WebXR or the M3 Discord. But I'm on there as Earthworm Jim 2, so II at the end. But my I'm not afraid to get mail, so my mail is actually at the bottom of the documentation for smooth voxels. So you can mail me directly if you want to. You have questions.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for presenting.
You're welcome.
Yeah, clap, clap, clap. Thank you.
Hey, there's my my Boothapalooza model.
Okay, can I show something next, guys? Is anyone up next, or can I? Is this stage free?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. This is my first time presenting, so wish me luck. Okay. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So a little background about myself. I'm a developer and I'm currently working on Mozilla Hubs. So what I'm working on at the minute is actually creating it's a scripting engine for Mozilla Hubs. So essentially, we've got the project on GitHub. So I'm going to share the link on the chat right now. So essentially, what this is, it's a plugin system for Mozilla Hubs. It allows you to generate, well, not generate, but develop Mozilla Hubs in real time. So we have a concept of a plugin. So if you want to the plugin for, before that, MIT license, so anyone's free to fork it, clone it, modify it, resell it, whatever. It's fine. So anyway, plugin project, and we go to test plugin. So essentially, I don't know if you guys can see this, but what this is, it's like a framework for creating like activities. So when I say activities, that could be like a game, that could be anything that's multiplayer. So we've got the framework here where it's a plugin. We've got the callbacks for like the startup. We have a concept of like activity, where essentially to define that the players, the weight, and all the different callbacks that you can have when when you run your plugin. So essentially, it's a nice little framework which you can use to like develop in a simple way. Because I don't know if you know how, but traditionally you'd have to like go on reticulum and then it's all client side. So this approach is different, as in it's like a server side technology. So you run this on the server, and all the business logic that you create is actually private to you, and like that's never shared. So how it actually works is this is like a WebSocket server. It's using Cohesive engine, which is like a WebSocket. So whenever a client connects to their server, it's going to connect it here and then get the instructions. So that's the overview. So let me show you a quick demonstration of like the capabilities of this engine. So essentially, let me start my Hubs client. Okay, so we've entered the world now, and we see three squares here. See one square there, three squares there, and there's also like a little user interface there at the top. So I think one of the best features of the engine is the fact that it's actually hot reloadable, as in it's like a live engine. So I can go into the plugin here, for example, and you see the taco model there. There's a taco. So in fact, one sec. If I search for taco in here, hold on. Okay, you see that there's an asset manager which you have, and you can like register different assets. So like every activity is gonna have assets like sounds, videos, images, and whatnot. So we register like a sounds and our models, and whenever we do that, we just specify the URL of like where the asset's located. So this allows like the system to preload that asset before like we get into the game. Well, the activity. We have a zone system. So essentially you can define different zones, which is like it's similar to like a trigger zone that you'd have in Unity. So you define your zones. You can say, okay, this is a game area. And whenever someone enters the zone, you can say, okay, I want to trigger some action or some activity, like play a sound or start something else. So these are the callbacks for that. Join the events. Events are like timer events. So you can submit a timer to say, okay, I want this to run like every 6 seconds or however many time period you want to run it as. We have a user interface system. So you see the user interface that you see on here. See start, leave, whatnot. So let me demonstrate like the live capability for live reload. So if you want to create like a menu, you could just say something else, um, some cool action, and that's the callback. Let's leave it at the same for now. Press save, Control S, and when you go back, you can see that they would have uploaded like automatically. So that's like their live reload, hot reload capability. So in fact, this is a rock paper scissors game, so it's actually like a multiplayer game. So let me demonstrate that part as well. So if I minimize this a bit and I open up another browser, then we can now see the system in action. But yeah, it's still very early, by the way, guys. Still very early. But like this is at the start of the project, okay? So bear with me. And we got 2 players in the activity. So if one, this is a seat. It doesn't look like a seat, but it's left a seat. So if I go into the seat here, and the other player goes into the other seat, which is over here, and if you press join game, look into the code. What's join? So when I press join game, it's going to say activity.start, which means just join the activity. So essentially, that player is going to join. One sec. Okay, that player is going to join, and that player is going to join as well. I don't think you can see the console. If you look onto the console, you would have told you like what's going on. It's maybe small or not. Maybe you can see it, but it says okay when you've entered the lobby, when you've joined. Essentially, we both joined the game at this time, so we're waiting for it to start. I think we joined. I'm not sure if we joined or not. Um, Let me reload it. But as you can see, like it's still very early, as in we need to have some more feedback, isn't it? When you press a button and if there's a message or whatnot. So that's where the collaboration comes in, where anyone's free to join and help to like, well, make the project go even further. So in some time we should actually start the game. It's not starting. But essentially, what would have happened is if it was working correctly, it's not working at the minute. Sorry, guys. But essentially, it would have started the game, and then we'd all get the option between like what we want to do next. And when we say action, there's one concept that we have. It's called a decision engine. Where's the decision? One sec. Okay, decision engine. Essentially, we're thinking every activity is going to have like a certain like decision that you have to make, isn't it? So in regards to this, like an activity, it's like when the round starts, when you made a decision, when the round ends, when your turn starts, when your turn ends. So these are different callbacks which you can use to create like absolutely anything. these are the options that you'd have as well. So when we said, okay, like you'd have rock, paper, or scissors. Those are the actions. Okay. When the round completes, we're gonna check winner. When the round is complete, the check winner, which is just simply gonna say, um, just comparing decisions that we made, what player one said, what they did. It's all logged out at the minute. Um, yeah, essentially that's what I'm working on at the minute. So just working on a nice like way to extend hubs and make the development experience a lot smoother. And yeah, using the Ubuntu, Eugene. Yeah, I don't trust Windows or Mac. But yeah, any questions on them on this guys? Any questions? Yeah, that was like the progress so far. Hello.
Yeah, no, we hear you.
Okay.
Oh, that's super cool. No specific questions for me right now, but
Well, yes, yes.
definitely,
So again,
definitely
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, the project is in the GitHub. So let me go into the GitHub again so we can see like some more stuff. It's actually got a lot. It's got a lot of code, but like the main idea is like you just want to work on the plugin folder, but you can actually go into the whole like systems as well and just like check it out. Which is like it's quite a different way to develop hubs, isn't it? As in like the ability to have your business logic private means that you can connect to APIs, you can connect to like many things, you can really start making powerful features. You can
Yeah,
store your secret keys over there.
that was kind
Yeah.
of my question. Like, would you be able to do like actual transactions? Like, for example, like sending money through PayPal? Would that like could two players engage in something that secure? Or is that like kind of outside the scope of what you'd want to do with this?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I'll show you how that's possible. Remember, this is all server side as well. So in fact, where is it? 1 second. It's totally possible. It's using the Express server in the backend. So all the server side logic is like essentially secure. We're using the JWT token provided from Hubs, which is this one here. So essentially, there is like a verification step. If you look onto the GitHub, for example, 1 sec. Sorry, guys, my first presentation, so like I'm trying to practice presenting. 1 sec.
You're good, no worries.
Yeah, doing
So
great.
going to room handler. This is like the live example. So essentially, with Hubs, like whenever you log into like your client or whatnot, they're gonna give you like a JWT token, which is like your authentication token. So essentially, like on the login, like when you first go into the server, you're gonna present your token. So based on that token, we're gonna verify it with the public key, like from like the reticulum. So essentially, using this, like we can actually have the identity of the user. So now you've got the identity, like the user ID, like the account ID. You're free to know who the player is, and you're free to know, okay, it's not been forged or like whatnot. So in theory, you could literally like do any transaction on your server. It'd be like private. It should literally be private. So this is server now running, which is like this separate instance here. This. So if I shut it down, I'll go back to the hubs and log in. There literally be nothing there because like it's all like it was all like a script. So let me just show you that quickly. When we go back in, nothing's there. You see, like it was all like created at runtime. But yeah, any more questions, please? Or feedback, suggestions, anything?
Just curious, would you be able to do things that are like admin only?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like, let me explain as well. So, essentially, in the token, it stores the rights of the user. Like this token here. Let me show you the token payload. Console.log decoded. Yeah, the token has a lot of information like roles, rights, worlds, and a few other things. But let me just demonstrate. Okay, so if I decode the token that was sent over by the client, this is what it look like. So we'd have account ID. I'm a guest, so I'd have no account ID in that occasion. Hub ID, um, join hub. That's the permission. Can you kick? Can you mute people? Can you pin objects? There's one here that says the actual There's a role in there somewhere as well, but this is like a guest user. But yeah, in fact, yeah, the token has every information that you need about the user, so you could do admin only actions as well. Okay.
So right now you've got it in hubs, player A, player B in the same room there. What
Yes.
if player A's in hubs and player B's in Hyperfy, and instead of like a portal, this is a sort of a functionality portal?
Can you explain the question, please, a bit further?
Let's say you had the same client available and not running. So hubs is where you're operating right now. Let's say you built the same thing into a different world platform, such as
yes.
Hyperfy, for instance.
Yes, in fact, the system was made with that in mind, as in it's not just tied to hubs. So essentially, we have the concept of the SDK. So let me show you the SDK.
And so to finish, so the question would be, if that was the case and you're built in the one environment, built in the other environment, if two users simultaneously, or depending on the experience, joined the same agreement,
yes,
the back end could connect them.
Yeah, absolutely. Providing they implement the SDK, like it's like get actors inside the actor. Everything's like an actor, so like like an object. So essentially, yes, but there's also like a context system where like you see when you join a room, you have like a hub ID. So by default, when you join a room, like it's gonna put people in the same hub together in the same room. So that's how the context is separated. So everything you could have like the same plugin running on like 5 different hubs on the same world. So providing the Hyperfy and the hubs is in the same context ID that you provided, then all the people that connect would be able to like communicate together. Okay. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and it ties into actually, some sort of portal capabilities, functionality-wise, with that. It's good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because you could just sync actions between like hubs and Mozilla, couldn't you? Because it's all like you can get the players and just send them all the same instruction, and then it to be like synchronized. Like for example, all these are synchronized between the two players, aren't they? So, in theory, yes, it's totally possible. But as I said, it's very early, guys. It's very, very, very early. I've only just started it like last month, so it's got a long way to go. So I'm planning to like develop it even further and like continue like making it more. I'm gonna make like an editor for it as well, and it's a plugin system. So you can imagine if you have like a little marketplace, you can create your plugins and you can actually share those plugins with other people as well, which is like a nice way. So you can share the plugin without actually sharing the source code, which is quite a powerful like capability. Because you can share your code with someone and they could probably steal it. If it's like a proper like product, then you may not want to reveal that the backend logic. So I think that's like the most like powerful capability of the system. Like secret logic on the backend. So it's open though, but yeah, definitely it's made in mind for like secrets and APIs and connectivity. But yes, any more question, guys?
I might have missed you talking about this because I walked out for a second. Well, how functional is this at the moment? Can somebody actually build, let's say, for example, like a baseball game in it, or is that like far too complex?
Well, I think it's possible, but the API, this is the API at the minute. So in regards to the API, what you can do, you can get an actor's like an entity. Okay, so it's like a box or cube or a model or whatnot. You can send a message, send a command. You can do get request and post request. Register your actor, get actor by ID. So the API is actually very simple. However, you see the interface to the API is actually quite powerful. As in, if I go over the plugin system again, so we have a lobby system. You see, you can have a lobby. We have a UI system, and essentially, I think you can. Literally, I think you could possibly.
I think syncing physics would be the main thing you'd have to figure out on that.
Well, how does Hubs do that, or do they not have a physics engine?
They've got like some basic physics, I assume, because you can toss things, but like
that could just
complex interactions, I feel like, are not super like fleshed out.
But it doesn't use like a physics engine like Canon or something
I
like that?
don't think so. I've only sort of poked around in the hub's code a bit, but I don't recall ever seeing like a physics engine mentioned
But
anywhere.
you know what, Ari, you could do this on here though. You could do it. You could make the physics on here itself because it's using Coliseus. So I don't know if you guys know the project, but it's actually like a really nice project. Let me show
Mhm.
you. Actually, a multiplayer game engine, so that's why I started to use it as a base. So I did see some example. Hold on. So I'm using like for the actual server side. So this here, like I've seen them put it to tick at like 60 milliseconds, which is like 60 FPS, and literally you can do the physics simulation on the server side and then sync it.
Ah, yeah.
So I don't know how heavy that would be, but like also when it sync as well, it's syncing like incrementally as well. So like it's not just sending like a ton of data; it's doing it like very efficiently, in a way.
Does anyone have an example of like maybe an A-frame or WebVR project that is multiplayer and physics based?
I worked on an FPS called Robot Rally, and that it's built on Wonderland, so it has physics integrated. So technically, I guess that counts. But I've also done like physics stuff with A-frame.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're interested in like a demo with that, I could probably pass you some stuff.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, awesome. Well, no, physics and WebXR might be a bit difficult, isn't it? Because like, is it like quite heavy calculation? If I remember.
Depends on like implementation. I mean, also depends on like how much physics you're doing, because like the experiments I've done with physics have been generally pretty good. Like as long as you're not going crazy,
Yeah,
it tends to be able to handle it.
physics is by far
I
the most
see.
performant, right? From what I read.
Yeah, I remember there was a guy who did a bunch of like side-by-side examples in Play Canvas of like cannon and ammo and physics, and I forget if he did Rapier or not. But yeah, there's also just like a lot of choices for like JavaScript's physics engines nowadays. 'Cause I mean, also with like Babylon, we got Havoc like not that long ago, which
Oh,
I still
yeah.
haven't messed around with.
It seemed like physics
So-
didn't have that much support for JavaScript.
I mean, physics is hard.
No,
I think
physics, I meant that specific system.
You still in Deep Panther?
Yeah, I think that it doesn't relate to if it's WebXR or not. Like I know that there's a port of the physics engine that use WASM and some hooks to JavaScript. So the bottleneck usually in WebXR is like the rendering, because you need to render twice the display. So it doesn't matter, like, you know, when you if something works well on 2D on a flat screen, I think then you only have like to take care for the display, for the rendering. So I'm not sure, you know, if the fact that you run on WebXR it will somehow make the physics engine to run less, less performance.
You know, I'd say it depends on the device. If it's like a mobile phone, then maybe it should be not very performant. But if it's like a computer, then it should be like normal, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? But if it's WebXR, then guys, we should target like mobile, web, and all the different devices. So that's where I think the bottleneck would come in, as in, okay, the device, what device are you using? Are you using like a gaming PC or using like your nanny's computer, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also your internet connection as well. Like to synchronize the states, what's the latency? Is it going to be like all lagged or is it going to be like real time?
No, the physics engine you just download it once. I don't think that you can download the physics engine in chunks. Like now I need to do this calculation, so I will download only these functions. Only
Well,
when
I think he means more like syncing like the physics state or like the
Yeah,
physics
over like
world
like
state.
server side, yeah.
if it's a multiplayer, yeah.
Yeah. there was a blog post I read from it was like an Oculus developer blog post talking specifically about syncing multiplayer physics with Unity. But the concepts are obviously applicable to general physics on the web. I need to find that again.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to share, like, cause that'd be cool.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, I think we're done with presentations. Apple and WebXR, how are we all feeling about that?
Good, I guess. Can't be bad, right?
It happened.
It sure did.
Yeah, they're gonna support WebVR or WebXR on their browser, right? That's what they said.
Yeah, supporting immersive VR sessions behind a flag.
Yeah, awesome. Expensive though. I prefer the Quest, as in like it seems like the Quest can do the same. You know, like
For the most part, yeah. I've already seen like so many examples of people like I recreated the Vision Pro UI on the Quest
Yeah.
Pro.
oh yeah.
But the
Oh,
whole
sick.
point is not. The whole point is WebXR, or I shouldn't say it's only good, but it's when you could read a browser clearly in VR. I feel like that's when it gets to the next level. So even if you could do it on the Oculus, like I don't know, I think you're gonna get the next level experience when you have that like crisp image,
Mhm.
and people are gonna actually be working in VR. I feel like that's gonna push people into WebVR.
Yeah.
Yeah, because no one cares about like for example, even in this presentation, the text was all blurry.
Oh yeah. So what's that, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm hoping on the Apple devices in the future, you know, that won't be the case.
Well, with the
Apple
price
actually
tag, it
said
definitely
they
shouldn't be
wrote
the
the
case.
glyph render. Sorry.
What was that?
Apple said they wrote their own glyph rendering system to support
Oh.
text specifically.
Mm. That's an awesome device, though. I must say. Like, if I had the money, I'd definitely get one. Put it that way.
Yeah, I certainly couldn't justify like spending $3,500 of my own money on it. Now, if I got it expensed for work, maybe.
I just want to see the emulator using the hands, because all the videos I saw of people using the Vision Pro emulator only show the environments in WebXR, which is pretty basic, and I want to see like interaction, because this is the hard thing to debug.
Yeah, because like there's a flag for hand tracking too, isn't there?
Yeah, but I think that what happened is it's that they didn't implement a way to debug hands and gestures in or hands joints in the emulator there. Not just on WebXR. Like I saw only options to emulate, you know, trigger and basic UI with a click of the mouse. I didn't see something like in the Meta emulator where you can position the hands and describe and set what is the position of the hands.
If only we could have extensions in Safari, then we could just install the WebXR emulator extension.
This is the thing. I don't want to see like emulator of the WebXR API. I want to see like the emulator of the WebXR on the device, because even if you look on the Meta WebXR emulator, it doesn't really emulate a real device, because some APIs are missing there, some stuff are not working as it works on the device. For example, you have the heat test. So a real device will check if you ask for the feature, for the permissions, for the feature of the heat test. This is not happening in the Meta emulator right now, you know, until they will fix it. But so this can like emulators can give you some feedback depending on how well they are implemented. So it's related to the level of the emulator. So for the vision, I actually want emulator of the device and not emulator of WebXR.
Yeah, that's fair. It also it requires Xcode to run the emulator, right?
I think yes, you need the Xcode, you need the Mac. So
Annoying.
Expensive setup.
yeah,
No,
Apple.
you use a Mac emulator to use the iOS emulator.
Yo, Doug, I heard you like WebXR emulator, so I put an
Yeah.
emulator inside your emulator.
Exactly.
I wish I saw my old laptop because it was like one of those laptops that's like good for Hackintoshing. And I had a setup on it for some time, but then I like tried to fix it when something broke, and then I popped a cap on the board, and then I just kind of set it aside and got a new laptop. And this one is not as conducive to Hackintosh stuff. That like the graphics card, it's like one of the NVIDIA ones that's not compatible. So I have basically no VRAM and can't really do anything graphically intensive on it, which is a shame. Because I also don't want to buy a MacBook.
Anyone has like a new info about the Vision Pro? Anyone here did try to install the emulator or have some feedback?
Nope. Does anybody know what
Okay.
platform to use for like WebEx for like no web for AR? What's a good AR platform if you want to make an AR app?
AR Core, I guess.
Like AR native?
Sorry, what do you call them? Sorry, hold on.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like on a device.
Well, for any AR device, like I want to make like an AR app. So, for example, for the Vision Pro, for example, for like the Nreal, what's the platform that I'd use to create that?
Well, I mean, I would personally, I would just use Unity because you can also export WebGL to WebXR. I mean, it would be different for the Vision Pro. It depends if you want to make it in WebXR or if you want to make it like a native app for a device.
I mean,
Yeah,
like AR, like you know
'cause-
AR. Just say AR or WebXR, guys. What did I say? I mean AR.
So oh yeah, so like immersive AR with WebXR.
Oh, okay.
Well, not immersive, but like just like I want to see my room, but like see stuff over it. So like, is it that I'd have to use like the SDK of the specific device to make it, or is it like
So it depends, I guess, on what sort of stuff that you want to do in AR specifically, because some stuff is supported in WebXR AR, and then some stuff isn't. Some stuff is only available on like native platforms.
Also, it depends on the
See.
device that you want to run on. Like, I prefer WebXR because you have the potential to run on lots of devices, but then it depends if the device has a browser that supports it, and to what level does this device supports WebXR? Like,
Because
I
I think it's like
Hmm.
basic hit testing and plane detection, I think is pretty much universal. You can do with WebXR. And then Chrome specifically has support for like Chrome's got like depth sensing and occlusion and like the lighting estimation API, don't they?
already released or experimental? I don't remember.
Just in there.
Okay, so it's only the image tracking that isn't that is still experimental, no?
I think I know they started shipping raw camera access too, but I don't know if that's considered experimental still.
Ooh,
I hope
raw camera
they add
access.
that to. I hope they add that to Quest 3 because that's quite annoying. I think that on Quest 2 you cannot do AR.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I think you can do on Quest 2 AR.
Not in the browser.
On
Well,
Quest
Browser,
2,
yeah.
I mean, you get the black and white pass through.
I know that on
No, I don't
Quest
think so.
1, I know that on Quest 1 you can do AR with the black and white pass-through, so I'm sure that on Quest
Wait a
2
second.
you
Oh,
can
no.
also.
Oh, stupid. You can actually do it because you can actually do it in the playground, I think, of Smooth Voxels. I forgot it's there. Yeah, you're right. You can do it there.
Yeah, it's
That's not been there for long, I think.
they added it when the Quest Pro launched.
Yeah, indeed. So that's why I was mistaken. I forgot that they put it in there recently.
Yeah.
We had.
Yeah, I'm not. I haven't tried out because in the Smooth Voxels playground you can put it on AR, but it's not sort of. It's sticking right, but it's not. Doesn't detect anything like walls or anything. So I'm not sure what is possible there. I haven't tried it out.
So guys, is AR supported in the web then, or is it not like a web thing? Is it just device thing?
Yeah, it's supported. Like if you can do AR stuff on the web. Like I said, capabilities depend on specifically the device that's running it. If you're like on a headset, then you have access to hit testing and like plane detection. If you're on a phone, then you have a couple more things. You get like depth sensing, like lighting estimation, and
Oh
stuff
no, yeah,
like
actually,
that.
I've got a phone that can do that. Well, I wanted it on my
Yeah.
head. Well, I guess you could use your phone as well, couldn't you? Equally, I suppose. Tie it to your head and just look around. I see. But what framework Babylon? Would Babylon be good for this?
Yeah, Babylon probably has decent support for it. Most of the major like WebXR frameworks have AR capabilities.
That's the next frontier, isn't it, guys? That's like the next future.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a
Future
lot of
after
mixed
today.
reality WebXR stuff out at the moment. Like spatial fusion's probably the like most prominent example, right?
Visual fusion. I'll give
Has
it a
anyone else
check.
done the
I
demo for that?
never
And that
got
one
that to work
needed-
on my Quest. Strangely enough, it should work on the Quest, I think, but I never got it to work. I'll try it again someday.
On Quest 2, you had to set up your experimental feature where you map your room in order
Yeah,
to.
even then it didn't work for me. Don't know why.
Darn.
So I'm curious, does anyone else see the Apple headset as a soon-to-be giant failure? Mainly because of, if we look at the case law example of Fortnite and, in-game currencies to microtransactions, I think a lot of metaverse, art, NFTs, Web3 technology is going to be lost inside the Apple headset. They're going to restrict, it's going to be locked to their SDKs on their framework. The last years is going to go right out the door because, it's like offering remote control.
But not for their ecosystem, because for them they don't care. So I think for them that isn't a failure. If it works correctly for everyone doing Apple Pay, they really wouldn't care less that nobody else can do it.
Sure.
So I think for them it's fine.
Well,
It's a
right, but
shame, I think, but I think for them they will see that as a big win, that they can actually add Apple Pay and stuff, because you cannot pay from VR, and they can add it on their platform.
And
I think it's a win for them.
I think it is a win for them, and I think they're trying to move away from Web3 and all this like NFT stuff. That's part of why I don't think they said VR in the launch. I think they're
no
really
VR, no metaverse,
yeah, exactly. They're
no
trying
AR, anything.
No AR, only spatial computing.
Yeah, this is just a special Apple computer. Exactly.
Yeah.
Spatial.
But will it make a lot of money in the short term? No, but I don't think that's what they thought.
What's this?
I'm sure that Apple fans and VR and AR early adopters will buy their device, and I'm sure that lots of companies will buy their device because clients will want to use it or to see it or to check it. So I'm sure they will sell enough devices. I don't think, if this device will get to consumers, I think that Apples are ready for that. But I think this version is more for developers like, buy our expensive headset and start to make stuff for it.
Yeah, it's
Similar to how they had like the Apple phone, the Apple Watch, and then the first version. Later they called it the Apple Watch Zero, because mainly developers use it and made the apps for it, and then in later versions it make to something more for consumers.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
kinda
no,
confused
I
how they
really believe they
position it.
should release a developer kit or SDK kit first and then a public launch. I think the branding would go over a lot better and give us as developers a more opportune moment. I just feel like it's going to be this platform and a lot of people are going to rush out to buy it. There's not going to be a lot of grade A support except for what Apple produces, which again is just going to lock people into Apple channels and remove the hard work from
I'm sort of
couple
curious about
years. I've been paying
what will
attention to screen name.
a year down the line, because a lot of the quests as well end up on a shelf. But for you to pay 3,500 euros or dollars or whatever, and then for it to end up on a shelf, that might not be too good for the whole VR business.
Well, you know what?
Yeah,
If you're a developer, I think you can easily make your money back. You know, like if you make the first AR app for like for the Apple, then you still you'd make so much money. I think, you know, like if you see like an investment sort of way. But for the
Well, you
consumer,
basically
definitely, I
just
don't know.
have to update your HoloLens app. It's
Sure.
a lot of things I've seen. Oh wow! Now we can have surgeons use a XR device. Yeah, for sure. HoloLens doing that for 3 years now. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
an upgrade
it's
from the HoloLens from with a lot of things are just an upgrade from the HoloLens basically.
It's not like a new thing.
It's the consumer market finally getting stuff that AR, VR, XR enthusiasts know about for years now.
Yes, they're going to watch a movie on a $3,500 device
Yeah.
with their family. No, they're not. They're just going to watch a movie with the family on their TV because then they have the social aspect of watching a movie together.
That's so true.
But they will be watching Prawn.
Well, if you
Well,
buy
yeah.
a device for $3,500, your family can just walk out the door. You're watching a movie on your device. Screw them.
Why do you need a family when you got a?
Well, for each family member.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yes.
And yeah, I'm skeptical. I would love to try it, and I would love to work with WebXR on the device, but
So, I mean, for lack of better understanding, I feel like Apple took VR chat and make an HD version and then added the keyword XR to it as a platform because they see WebXR.
No,
That's the way
they
that I
trying
agree.
they trying to to like go the other direction from the words of XR or VR or AR. So they will not add XR. If you see XR on something of Apple in relation to the Vision OS or something like that, it's the old code name for the programmers of Apple, where they called it XR OS. But no, Apple are very, you know, like not consumer, like very PR and very like public relations stuff like that. So they don't want to use like a technical language for the consumers. They want to use like more, you know. I don't know if spatial computing is easy to understand, but it's more. But you know,
Well,
it's something.
Apple being Apple, they're going to create proprietary keywords, trademarks,
Yeah,
and marketable terms. But if you really take a step back and if you had an Apple headset on you today, how is it no different than your home world in VR chat? Like, if you really think about it, the only thing it's going to do is have an in-place market like Oculus Rift did. You know, like you put on the headset and you have a little bit more commercialized aspect to it. But other than the
they have the advantage of their ecosystem. When you want to share something from your Mac or from iOS device, it will be much easier to do so than today we have like the Airlink on or the virtual desktop. They can really add a finish to the user experience cycle, right? I'm not one of the Apple fans,
But
but
it's still
there
user
are
experience.
there are things that they know how to do most of the time better than others.
And it's sometimes it's just obvious things like why aren't the Android apps running in the Quest? I still don't get it. I mean, it's an Android device somewhere down there, so why isn't that the standard possible? That would have been so easy, I think, to do to sort of extend your ecosystem and make it more interesting for anyone to go in there. But it's sort of still quite a limited environment within a Quest. So I think that's what they're doing great. Just make sure it fits in their whole ecosystem right. And indeed, what you say, things like sharing your desktop right in VR or AR, just make that really smooth. That will really make a dent there.
Well, virtual desktop's pretty
Well, they
cool.
have the two modes of AR. They have the one mode of AR that is where you're sharing your app with other apps through the operating system at the same time. So they
The
built that
multi-apps.
into the multi-app function. So in that environment, there is that, and that's you can't, again, you have to own the whole operating system to be able to do that, and Meta doesn't have that with Android.
Meta can do that, but it's not the direction that they are going with. So they have the possibility to do so. Apple had to do some compromises for it to work. Like you don't, as a developer, you don't have enough control of the rendering when you are working on multi apps. You need to use a specific rendering of Apple because of the lighting and because other stuff and and the shadows and other stuff related to how the hologram or the app looks in the environment beside other apps.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to like talk to immersive web working group about integrating the way that their AR stuff works to be able to get immersive AR. Because remember back when they first made the announcement, Ada mentioned something. He's like, "Oh yeah, soon I'll need to do up a list of like requested changes
I think
from like
it's
Apple folks."
more. I'm not sure if it will be for the AR, but I guess it will be for the interaction, like with the eye tracking and
Mhm.
the ray for triggering. Maybe this is why they still didn't show it show how WebXR looks. I didn't see any video of WebXR and interaction, not by Apple and not by people that use the emulator. Only we can see the environment in WebXR.
Yeah. I feel like we'll have to wait till people start like posting videos from actual like dev kit headsets.
Yes.
Has anyone tried the Nreal Air, for example, the much cheaper alternative, or the Nreal? Has anyone tried any of those devices?
I have not.
No. 'Cause I think that could be like a good, nice alternative, like a cheap option. It's only like $300, and you get like, well, I guess the same thing.
Yeah, I
The
tried the
Unreal
Unreal.
ones are phone tethered,
Yeah,
right?
the Unreal is actually very cool. But I tried it before it was out. But as the other overpaid AR device, it was just way too small of a view. So the form factor was great, and
Oh,
also had a cable like the Apple device, but it was you had just a very small, like the HoloLens, a very small thing to look at. So no
Isn't
doubt.
it like only
Does
50 or 60
anyone
degrees? Like,
the,
What
does
if they have like
anyone
immersive AR? Sorry.
do they have WebXR in Xreal, or how did
I
they
think they
call
do,
them?
don't they?
Yeah, it's through
I-
Nebula or whatever the app is that they use. So you can.
And did you
use
try
WebXR to
it?
do that. I didn't get to
Back
try
then
it.
it was just
It
Unity.
wasn't set up in a demo yet, but I did talk to Peng, one of the co-founders, for about 20 minutes at AWE. They're actually expanding their US team now. They're hiring and everything. So it's one good to watch if you are looking for jobs. Might be a good one to watch.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Do you know if their browser is like based on Chromium or something, or if it's original or?
No, I think it's just it's basically an Android app, right? The Nebula thing.
We do have SDK as well, so can you develop like apps with SDK, like connect to like a server or something? Is that possible?
Sorry, say again.
Is it possible, like using the Nebula? Is it possible to connect to like a SDK? I mean, connect to like a API or something using the Nebula SDK?
I mean, I would imagine.
I mean, for developers, you want to make an app on the platform, then like surely you should be able to like, have some capability. Yeah, who knows? I think nobody knows us yet. I don't know.
I can invite
Back
every
then it was,
real person in
if
next
you
month.
want to deploy apps to Unreal, you need to use Unity, no WebXR or something, no browser.
Oh, Unity. What?
The developer base for Unreal also cannot be like that big, right?
I mean, in terms of if again, it was an Android device, and the only thing that we could access was a Unity plugin.
For the Xreal?
Again, I was just testing it like 2 years ago when it was Unreal, and I don't know about the Xreal thing right now.
Okay.
I'm just looking into it. There is a thing on Reddit where you can download something from a Google Drive. I'm not sure. And that seems to be built with Unity. So just the Nebula, this is a Nebula browser for Windows. That's built in Unity. So I'm not sure if it's built on Chrome and what it does, and how much
That would be neat.
Browser thing.
Yeah.
If this is a real thing. I'm not going
Let's
to
get
install it.
Let's get them in next month.
Yeah.
I'll reach out and see if they want to come in next month.
Cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
actually, or I had another group that wants to give a talk next month as well. I don't know if anyone's seen them on Twitter, but Polar Forum. They're working on like a Unity to WebXR thing, but like I think it's like a more complete pipeline
Another
because
one?
they're all another one. They're also doing like asset optimization for you and stuff.
Send a link.
It's kind of point and click version. I've seen them. Yeah. They try and make it. It's very simple. It's not supposed to be. You don't have to be a front end dev for it.
I think it's just polarformxr.com.
Yeah, I'll put it in here. I was checking them out a while ago.
So I've been working on a new project the last few weeks called shirt.ninja. And it's a NFT t-shirt thing at the front end, cool enough. But I want to convert it into a 3D store. One of the reasons why I dropped in here today on you guys. Appreciate your time. Any suggestions on monetizing a metaverse space without creating a new stack or engine runtime? Because if I keep adding layers in, it's like it just adds so much on the back end once you have more than like 100 users. And so I'm just trying to figure out a really seamless way to do it. Like even if I just did a an HTML embed on some walls to like start that way with a couple 3D objects for shirts and go and do a mask because it's got to look clean. It's got to look like an art gallery, right? But yeah, that's where I'm at is playing with this idea of having one of the first 3D stores. Be cool to make a mall, right? Just not to give out all my IP, but I think soon the internet, these metaverses, people are going to want 3D malls.
There's literally a company, Metaverse right now who owns the mall.io, which I have not actually like gone through, but they're also trying to do the whole like 3D mall thing. I know they had some kind of partnership with like Starburst a while ago, but reception was mixed, as I recall.
There's also one that, and I'm feeling really bad for not knowing it. Someone was sponsoring my Zesty ads.
You're talking about
also
Rebuff
had-
Reality?
What?
You're talking about Rebuff?
It could be, yeah.
The cyber
They had a
shop?
store as well. Yeah, that was a real
Yeah.
complete store in VR.
I worked on that way back.
Oh, you worked on the store?
Yeah, it was technically my first ever WebXR gig.
Are they
was
still using
some-
Unity for that, or did
If
they
they,
switch?
well, the shop doesn't exist anymore. Last time I checked, the like for sale domain is down, but it was on Unity. Yeah, it was interesting.
Funny.
I remember there were like all the WebXR like Unity export things were in the code base at one point because I think they were using teleport from like Rufus's one, but then they also had yours.
So you want to sell shirts and you want to have WebXR representations of the shirts, but you don't need multiplayer interaction, right?
Well, see, that gets interesting. 1 second, Mozilla Hubs. Okay, so to give you my 2-minute pitch deck on the vision. First of all, my name's Lucas. Others call me Satoshi Uno. Soon my blog.satoshi.uno, right? Okay, so I've worked with cryptocurrency a long time. I've seen what I call metaverse coming for quite a few years. Shout out to Jen. I met him a couple years ago in VR chat. That was cool. And so Shirt Ninja for me is small enough to work as a business. The branding, the logo, the shirts themselves are fire. Like everybody wants them from China to like here everywhere, right? And it's like a 2-week-old project, so that's fun. So getting into what metaverse is for me, what I want is people to be able to like, hey, welcome. Okay, enter. Now they're walking into the store. Once they're in like the lobby area, they can see the signs. Maybe they just port directly, right? So creating the community interaction to where you could see, like physically see a multitude of people looking at, different merchandise or patterns or that kind of stuff, right? You could really, there's vast amounts of analytics to be pulled there when you look at 3D spectral space. And it's kind of like herd mapping, put it nicely. So 3D advertising, other aspects of monetization, but inside the metaverse. So what is Shirt Ninja? Because with the Shirt Ninja coin, I want people to be able to play Shirt Ninja, like fighting shirt for shirts, right? Maybe they port from there and we make the Shirt Ninja card game, trading card game, because everybody wants their ultra rare Pokemon card. They put it in the case, it's locked away. I mean, but an NFT T-shirt with their trade card game. So I don't know. The options really get endless when we talk about what is this multiverse, what is metaverse, what can we connect through portals and hops.
Oh,
Always happens.
Did it disappear?
Yeah, he seems to be having connection issues. I'm not sure why.
He'll be back.
Well,
Yeah.
we had the first WebXR meetup in Israel last week.
I saw,
Nice.
yeah.
It was nice. There were like 30 people, something like that.
Oh, wow.
It was
Wow.
nice. I don't know how many of them actually did the stuff in WebXR, but surprisingly, lots of them already tried stuff with WebGL and 3JS, not just Unity. So it was nice to talk with people, that actually work on rendering stuff and know 3JS and know how those things works, and not just people that come from the product or people that come from. It was more like technical people, so it was refreshing.
Yeah, 30 for a first, meetup is, a pretty nice turnout.
Yeah, and it wasn't like on a central place. It was like outside of the main city.
It's the Tel Aviv meetup?
So it wasn't in Tel Aviv, it was out of Tel Aviv. But yeah, it should be a Tel Aviv meetup.
Right. Then I will share the link in the Discord if anyone is interested. Just trying to.
Oh, yeah, and
in the
if they
Twitch.
if they ever set up any sort of social media presence, I'll link them on the awesome WebXR list.
Yeah, the one that arranges meetup is one of the people that works on the F60 game. The
Yeah,
one
I
now
saw
back
Ariel.
in AVR. Yeah, it was in the Meta Hackathon in London.
Mm-hmm.
He's back.
Hello.
Hey, Fixed Connect.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you're using your phone, I suggest setting the display timeout for longer.
Ah, I see.
Just go
the
ahead.
interactive mode trading card Pokemon game.
Yeah. So, if Shirt Ninja as a business model is T-shirts and merchandise, turning that merchandise from NFT, Shirt Ninja, all that kind of good stuff, has economic value as a brand, especially when you talk about brand merchandising. I can't say which game, but my buddy, they've got the 25th anniversary coming out next year. Very popular game. So if I can ride the wave just right, I can get Shirt Ninja to get some top level support as far as what products we're offering. If in the VR world, the reason why I chose T-shirts is because it's simple enough to work, right? It's like Bitcoin Project. For those who don't know, Bitcoin Project, the alpha code comes from a poker game. It's really not that as original as people would think. Just look into that. That's another story. But if once people are inside my metaverse, I simply want a nice e-store, right? A good experience.
Mhm.
People can see, you can display products, promotions, advertising, the list goes on, as far as metrics and monetization. Now, as far as the fun part for me, I'm thinking, well, I want people to be able to earn Shirt Ninja coin, and by playing Shirt Ninja, like warrior games or something, I don't know. There's a lot of ninja games you could throw in there, and from there, if you look at like a Shirt Ninja card game example, the point I make there for the NFTs is people want rarity, they want validity, but if you really have something that has value, you got to put it away in the case, not actually playing that with that card. So I think it would be cool when people order, select cards or limited edition series or whatever, or that booster pack, they get the shirt with it, right? And I think long term, expanding into other 3D e-stores would be a good realm to get in. I mean, I have my own vision of like, I guess I'm trying to put a name on it. I call it Supernode, but it's like instead of World Wide Web, it would be CCC for Community Cryptology Connection or something, and recreate, instead of everyone trying to port through a singular service, re-allow the internet to interconnect through translate server, DNS stuff. But getting people off of World Wide Web, www, would be a hard task. But they've tried before. Like if anyone used the WAP internet for like old phones back in the day, there are alternative interwebs. But that being said, Shirt Ninja, it's a fun project. Appreciate your time. Any input on what I could use as far as creating an HD? It's got to be, HD 4K in some aspects. It can't be low poly. People don't want to shop and see a cartoon like Fortnite.
Right. So
I'm not sure. I think it depends on the style. Because you
it
can
depends
see
on the
some
audience, yeah.
Nintendo games, for example, they're not so much realism.
Because if you're asking specifically like what tools should you like pick up to like start building this like 3D store that you're envisioning?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to get some general feedback. It's been about 2 years since I looked at the physical stack. I remember, obviously, Unity, WebXR export, OpenGL on like React Native web app. As far as the SaaS part goes, I've been working on the Azure stack. I went back to Microsoft Azure because of the ChatGPT crap, and I've been learning the interoperables for that. I will suggest to anyone looking at instant deployable SaaS apps to look at their new Power Page platform that goes along with their Power Apps platform. Power Pages is like low code, no code meets full code already on a server CDN with enterprise grade security for $20 a month with a 365 account.
I won't recommend on using the Unity WebGL WebGL WebXR export for commercial use. Unless you really know what you're doing. That's, it's lots of download time and big file and lots of optimizations. Is Unity WebGL is, a port of an engine that wasn't built for the web. You have needle tools if you want to use Unity.
As you're
they have
offering.
the stack, the art stack, how the authoring models, etc. If you really want to use Unity, but unless that, you might use other engines that built for the web. As far although I'm working on the WebXR export, I won't recommend it for commercial use. It's great for other use cases, but take it into account.
Yeah, well, that's where you have to limit the room size, right? And you run instances on CDN with localized containers, something like that. And that's a good demo. But yeah, I mean, again, that's where I was at 2 years ago. I haven't looked at the hard code since, but since everybody wants XR, VR, metaverse platforms, Facebook spent $100 billion chasing a simple idea. They're going to convert their user base, and people are going to use this platform that no one seems to really want. And then what happens when everybody on Facebook leaves to a different social platform? Facebook won't be able to sell any more advertising. They don't have a user engagement. So it's it
Yeah, hello, Fix Connect.
yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, I recall you saying that you wanted it to be like HD models or 4K models, like inside of your store thing. So have you considered like the limitation of the device? Like if you have like 4K models in like your metaverse platform, for example, like, I think it may be too heavy, as in it may be cause a lot of lag. Because I think these devices can't handle like too much like detail, if I recall.
Yeah, the only way I think to do that is with a masked poly, to where until the image is clicked on or the object is activated, you know, or you do depth sensing, you know.
Oh, I
But
see.
everything you add adds runtime. Like, so that's the part in the stack that's the issue right now. Is yeah, I can cake 8 different things together. That's not exactly a smooth operation.
Well, you know, Fix, you should use the engine that I was speaking about earlier, because with that you could have like a location sensor. If they walk close to it, just replace the model. You know, and I think Mozilla Hubs would be perfect for your idea. Like, at least prototype it, you know, because it's got the multiplayer aspect, it's got the 3D aspect, it's got a community, and you can put your GLB models and you can make the APIs and whatnot to your blockchain so they can trade. You can make a game. You know, I think it'd be like a really nice platform for you to like try. You know, and if you need any help, you can let me know as well, because like I'm working on this stuff like every day. You know, like definitely like blockchain and like metaverse and XR. It's all possible.
Yeah, I mean, reach out on Twitter, Fix Connect, FIXED, Fix Connect.
Yeah, drop it on the chat. I like a spell, but drop it on the chat.
Oh, hey, Matt. Yeah, you wouldn't happen to have heard anything new about the Mozilla Reality stuff
Alright, got
from
it.
a while
Nice.
back, right?
No, it's sort of still in flux. I just got all of the social media stuff taken care of, but
Mm.
yeah, I favor just like handing over those repositories to you. So I'm advocating
Yeah.
for that.
It's just so frustrating to like deal with this stuff from them sometimes, especially since like I don't even see a record in like Bugzilla of them changing over like DNS stuff or somebody putting in a ticket to do this. They just did it.
Yeah, and like honestly, like even tracking down the social media stuff, like it was almost like everybody just left and didn't didn't transfer anything. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it took me a long time, and like finally I have everything vaulted and put away, and like we could like start thinking about what to do with parts of like the parts that I'm working with anyway. But then there's the repos and all that stuff. So yeah,
No one's looking after those.
they're just abandoned.
I remember that one repo that I opened a PR for because I found a bug with the like sprite sheet generation. The only reason somebody found it was because he was about to like, although I think he needed to like clone it for something else, and then he saw my PR on it and was like, "Oh, this fixes the thing I was going to do." Merged.
Right. Yep.
But like he stumbled upon it. Nobody like got a notification for it.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems that when people in Mozilla are getting fired, they just leave everything as it is, and nothing like like a process of leaving the workplace and leaving your
I think
project to other
it's
people.
it like so rarely happen. Like usually usually we just like keep people kind of just shuffle around within Mozilla, like when something closes up. So that was kind of like a rare case, and then so I guess they just I mean I don't know. I wasn't there, so I don't know.
I saw it on other like when there was like the layoffs of the WebXR people. I saw it in so many repositories, like things just stopped.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like across the board, yeah.
And now like the only people that had the knowledge of like the XR code, like the code base stuff for WebXR, are either at Meta or I think it's Kip and
Some of them are in Apple.
Apple, yeah.
and
Yeah.
Google.
Who went to Apple?
Fernando.
Fernando, yeah, he's over there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know Imanol and Kip went to
Lee too.
Meta.
Went to Apple. Yeah.
And then Daosheng Mu, I think, went to Adobe.
Yeah.
And Ada Rose Cannon from Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey Anthony, yes, I am the same Matt. Good to see you.
Oh yeah, good to see you too. I didn't know. Hey, you're everywhere. Nice.
He's in every Hubs event.
Hey.
Lurking.
Just lurking. Yep. Just writing down bugs.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wish that like the layoffs hadn't been so sudden and there could have been like a plan or like just a little more for anybody who would have eventually came back to the XR stuff. Like I remember looking at a bug to like implement a feature where Kip just says a comment, "I'll get this in tomorrow." And then that was the last comment on it ever, and I have no idea how to do the thing the bug says. I'm just like,
This stuff. Yeah, it happens in every company. Yeah. Matt, did they fix the bug that you asked us to upvote last month or 2 months ago? There was like a bug in Hubs that you asked us to vote
Yeah,
for.
you're gonna have to be more specific.
are you talking about the text freezing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that I suspect what I suspected with that and what I think the team was thinking is when we migrated over to the new loader that it would just be fixed. But we haven't. I don't think it's been tested specifically yet. And I haven't tried it. Has anyone? Actually, we could try right now. You're in there. Do you get them?
I get the bubbles and I get the freeze ups. I've been getting them the whole meetup.
Oh, the whole time. I wouldn't have even put anything in the chat had I known. Oh, sorry. Okay, well, good to know that one's still live.
Yeah, no, this is also part of the reason why I decided to finally spin up my own Hubs Cloud instance because I want to modify the client and I want to figure out where this is so I can make it go away.
Yeah, and we should really just give the WebXR meetup a free one. Like eventually when we do when we do some kind of subscription service for it, we should just give WebXR meetup a free one. If they wanted to, if you all wanted to keep using it. I think that'd be
maybe
it'd be better than redoing a Hubs Cloud. Hubs Cloud is just awful.
Yeah.
It reminds me like developer programmers that are going to interview in some company and get there and then they fix the bug that really annoyed them before
And then they
joining
leave.
this company. Yeah. I just wanted to join this company to fix this annoying bug and goodbye.
The power of open source. Yeah. Well, I sent out a message to the XReal team, John over there, who's doing DevReal and a bunch of hats right now, just to say, hey, come in next month and tell us how we could develop on Nebula. Talk to a bunch of WebXR devs if you'd like. So give them the invite.
Yeah. That'd definitely be cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Like I demoed it playing the Xbox. It was pretty good. Like they had it just plugged into an Xbox. Just like the really basic one. And then they have one coming with hand tracking. They're doing like a new version of the old one they did with the cameras for hand tracking, and that's going to be next kind of like higher tier glasses coming out. So yeah.
I also need to get in touch with Chin about because the Gun.js guy was interested in coming to one of these meetups because he's apparently interested in
cool.
VR. Yeah, but he couldn't come last time because he doesn't use Discord, and we still have the Discord off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I don't know if anyone noticed, but I have a custom HubSpot that I wrote up for this Hubs Cloud instance.
Oh, no way.
Which was basically just me kind of like reverse engineering the output that I get from a Reticulum just trying to figure out how to like connect and then pass on, join messages, and whatnot. I think the only thing it does right now is it does join, leave messages, and it'll link assets, so pictures and GLBs, which is basically most of what I wanted the HubSpot for in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't think it does automatically. I mean, if you do a screenshot or a picture, then it doesn't share it automatically in chat, I think.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that might be a different event then. I'll have to dig for that.
But Matt, I've got a question regarding the Discord bot. Does it work on the normal hubs, the self-hosted, or is it only for the hubs?
I have not tested it with the normal hubs, the one I'm using right now.
Yeah, Discord bot just should be considered dead at this point. Yeah, it was worked on by Marshall like years ago, and then it's done. Yeah, it's just not going to get support. I've been wanting to get like some really clear messaging about it out, but we have a little bit of an internal discussion around it, and I don't know. I think but I think for all intents and purposes, we should just lay it to rest and put the headstone on. Yeah. I think it's done.
Rippy.
Okay, I see. Because I like the login feature where you can log in with Discord. I think that's quite cool.
All thing with Discord is good. Yeah, could protect your room a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, it's not all like the email link, which is a bit like long, isn't it? But I saw someone made some OpenID Connect like login, but I haven't tested it as yet. But I think that'd be really cool as well. Login with Google or something. That'd be like epic.
With your Facebook maybe on the Quest.
Could that work? Yeah, I've seen it with MetaMask. People have done integrations.
Will
with
Murphy from Immerspace also has done like Federation stuff.
With like Activity Pub and it's good. I like all that stuff. I contribute to them every month. It's a cool project. Immerspace.
Yeah.
What about your developer as well?
I hack around with stuff. Right now I'm really into the immersive AR stuff, and I have like a startup idea that I'm working on, getting like a pitch deck together and gonna try it. But it kind of depends on what Apple does with it for me. If I really want to continue to put effort into it. So we'll see. But
Oh, nice. Yeah. So you do everything then. Everything.
I'm a generalist, so I'm just bad at everything.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, best of luck. Hope it works out for you.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see. I'm just kind of putting around with it right now, putting together some things. I'd like to make like a simple prototype and see where I can go with it. Because I'm turning 40 soon, so it's like I gotta kind of if I want to do something like this, I should do it.
True.
Yeah, is that the magic border?
40.
That's the magic for me, yeah. Because I just don't have energy. Yeah, I'm just like, oh man, at 5 more years, I think I could work really hard.
I feel you, man. I feel you. Yeah, I know what you are talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah. No more all-nighters. No more all-nighters, guys.
Yeah. Well, that's not even. Well, yeah, that's not even a problem. That's the only time I can work when they are asleep.
Yeah. Oh, you're a nocturnal programmer.
Yes, I have to.
Yeah.
I've
always been and still am. I'm 43, by the way.
So Scott, how many hours can you do you get to sleep?
Yeah, I have to be thoughtful about it. I normally work. Well, work is a big word. I work normal hours and then I do other stuff. Basically, mostly till around midnight. But that's just if I have to just quit by then. If I don't, I used to hyper focus quite a bit when I was younger, and then I just look down when it was dark, and then I look up and the sun was already up.
Because you are one of the WebXR developers that releasing a game after game after game after game. I don't think that there's another independent developer that has a number of games, WebXR games.
Source Code, you're very prolific in the space.
I don't know anyone else either. Yeah.
The only other person I can think of that's maybe touched as many games is Florian.
Yeah.
working with like White Rabbit stuff, but they've been doing stuff since like
But
2016,
this is
2017.
and this is also their day job of
Right.
them. It's not like the
Right.
after job
Reader's done a bunch of stuff
project.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Reader.
Because it seems
it's all
Doug
hobby
Reader's
projects
got a
for me.
couple.
but it looks you are very systematic about it. Like
No.
this is how
It
it
looks
looks
like
from
it
the
looks
start.
like
Rosie. Yeah, you
Yeah,
got Rosie. You're like the Tony Stark of WebXR
I am.
games.
I am. Yeah,
That's your
and
yeah.
I don't stream as much as I did, and during my streams I don't use Rosie as much as I do. But I've upgraded Rosie as I wanted it at some point. I wanted Rosie to be a full-time assistant, and right now she is. But actually, at this moment she's not running. But I'm during my working hours. Um, since I've upgraded her to ChatGPT 4, it's just replaced Google basically. She can do anything.
Nice.
But yeah, the games are just hobby projects. But keep an eye out. Things are going to change. If you my company, the company I was working for, it went bankrupt. Recently. So
Microsoft?
No, I wasn't no, I wasn't working for Microsoft yet. No. So yeah, there are things going to change quite a bit in the next few weeks, hopefully.
So how do you manage your time?
Well, I just work, and then during the day, and then at the end of the afternoon, I just quit working like everybody else. I'm going to eat, and after my kids are in bed, like around 8
Oh,
p.m.
you
I
have
think
kids
it is.
too?
Yeah, I
Oh.
got three daughters. Well, the
Three?
thing is,
Oh my
yes.
goodness. Amazing.
When
Yeah,
they're in
I have
bed,
one,
then I'm
but
just
I
going
can't.
to sit down at my PC again and just start working on my own projects. I love to do game jams. That's where the games come from mostly.
Yeah, game jams help you focus. Yeah.
So there's this game jam going on right now for VR, and I was thinking on participating, but one,
Which
I
one's
don't
that?
have an idea, and two, I don't think I have time. It's only a week. It's for, I think it's called VR Game Jam.
Yeah, on it. I wanted to work this weekend on my game. Like, there were layoffs in the company I worked for 1 month, 2 months ago, and the Unity team was laid off. So I wanted to start to work on my own games, and this entire month I did manage to do some stuff with the games I want to create, but I didn't get to actually write a code line for one of the games, because it's a site, so you need to create the site, and it's the game, so you need to create the games themselves, and I just I can't find myself actually writing the code.
But you've been laid off as well.
Yeah.
Ah, man, it sucks.
So yeah,
Wow.
so I have
I didn't
time
know.
now. So I want to make my own games, like trying to make money from WebXR games. So I have like a skeleton of what I want to make, and I'm still working on this skeleton. And tomorrow, like there's a game conference here in Israel, and I wanted to come with something to show people and give people to try or have like feedback, and I have nothing. Like,
Well, if you want to join
I
a startup
had
and work on a really bad idea, let me know.
yeah, like I
I
had
got one.
global game
Yeah.
jams that I had so little time, and I made so much progress, and here like I had a month and I feel like I did nothing.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, me too.
So I looking on Anwar at source codes is doing like with all the games that he released in the past few years, and I need to learn from you how to sit on my ass and just do it.
Ooh,
It's
blog
so
post.
funny. It's really weird that you think that it works that way. I I struggle with ADHD, and it's
Yeah, me
it's
too. Me
it's
too.
Mm,
so hard to
yeah.
focus, and you think I can
Yeah.
manage to.
Do
Well,
you find that streaming helps you though, Source Scoot?
yeah, yeah. Somehow it does. I need to. I cannot just go watch cat pictures on on whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
People
Yeah.
are people could be
YouTube.
watching. Streaming helps, but
Yeah.
um, it's the thing with a game jam is that it's such a short time period that you have to
Yeah.
focus,
Hmm.
Yes.
and that helps. If I need to focus, I can do it. If I just otherwise, I'll just go slowly off the path and just go into the boots, and you
Yeah.
never find me again.
Yeah, so I hope that the fact that tomorrow there's this conference will give me this boost of I'll just work all the weekend and then I'll have something to show on Monday. But no, it didn't work this time.
You just gotta try again.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I hope until the end of the week I'll have something to show. Um,
Mm.
I also need to think like about promoting those those games because
Mhm.
uh, you know I think that once I'll have something and it will be good enough to play, I guess I can register to the submitting into the Meta Quest browser new tab page, uh, which I know it brings lots of users,
Mhm.
but I think we shouldn't count only on the new tab page. We need to find other ways to promote WebXR games, and so I need to work as you work on other indie games or games in general, where you build a community, share your stuff, show progress, uh,
Oh yeah,
and
community.
yeah, and for that, I need to have something because just tweets with text
Well, depends. Why do you
won't
have a
give
team?
any.
Why do you make like a team of people? Like at least one person or two people.
Uh, Currently, it's mainly me. We have like a family company, which is my father and I. My father is also a developer, but for this project, it's mainly to manage money stuff, because domains register to stuff, handle GitHub. When I need like freelance artwork, so engaging
Oh
with
yeah.
them. Uh, but first, I have to. I need to create something that we can start with, because without the skeleton, without this, uh, w- we can't, really show other freelancers what we not want, what we want to make, and what they need from them. So I'm the
Oh, I
one that
see.
currently put the stick in the bicycle wheels. Uh,
Yeah, I see. That's the same problem I have. As in, like, I got something, but it's gonna take forever to develop. So, um, you can only take your time with it.
Yeah, and it's so different when I work for on games and projects for clients. Because once we start to work with a client, it's like going like whoosh. Okay, we need to do this. We need to do this. Okay, done, done, done. Okay, what next? Done. And when you are working on your own project, you really need, like, the S to sit on and do the stuff
But you know
for
what?
you.
It's like you're working for free, isn't it? Like you're working for free pretty much. So like that's why. Like the other situation you're getting paid, but this situation is like okay, like all this effort is just like well,
It's
it's an
not.
investment.
It's less the money, because I think that in the long run, if I'll have more and more, my own games, my own assets, it will bring me more money than doing, one-time job for a client. I think it's more like there's someone that actually sitting on your head, and you know that it needs this project, and for things to advance, you need to do your stuff. And when it's only me working on my own stuff, it's like, okay,
Oh,
so it will happen tomorrow. Okay, I need
Hmm.
to do this and this so I can do this later. And then, like, you
I
just
have the very same problem.
procrastinate. Yeah.
I'm brilliant in doing client jobs, and I'm trying to come up with products, and I have billions of ideas, and I start 12 and I finish none.
For me,
Yeah.
it's the same. For smooth voxels, it's sort of the same as playing, I don't know, Zelda Breath of the Wild. I want to play, so I go play, and I know tonight or today I'm going to that tower and I'm going to do there what I meant to do last time. But then halfway there, I go, oh hey, what's in that direction? And I never get to the tower. And it's the same for development. That I know exactly these are the features that I want, but I
Yeah.
implement like 10 other features before I get to the one which is the most important one, because I got sidetracked halfway and went, oh, wait a second, I could do this as well. And I forget about what I was doing. That's why it takes me a year to get a new version out.
Yeah, it happens to me in WebXR export. Like there are lots of, like, mini fixes that I want to make, but then someone make a mixed reality capture in 3JS, and it's so cool. So I want to implement this as well. And like, okay.
But that's sort of the difference when you do it for a client. You do, I don't know, you do sprints. So in 2 weeks that will be the demo, and you work only on that. But for
Yeah.
myself, I always sort of, I never finish anything, but I start something else already. And the other one, I know it needs to be finished yet, but I'm doing other stuff now, and it sort of never gets to that part, and then it takes a lot of effort to sort of. I've been, I think maybe 3 months. I've been sort of working on just getting this stuff finished. That the loose ends are left all over the place doing this. So, but for a client, it's always much easier. You just do in a sprint. You know exactly what you're going to do, and you know what you're going to do the next sprint, and you just do it. And I think it should be the same. You should just have your backlog and your sprint planning just the same as you do if you do it at work. Except for
yeah,
myself,
so
I
true.
never do.
That's hard to do for yourself
Yeah, yeah.
because you have to somehow be able to report to yourself as well and just say, well, yeah. And with a game jam, there's just a deadline in a week or 2 weeks, and
I
you
made
have
Once
to
a
one
be
week,
done.
and
Indeed, I made
yeah.
one game in my life that I finished, and that was for a game jam as well, because that's the only one the only way that you are forced to finish.
Yeah.
Hey, so sorry to interrupt. Before I take off, I wanted to ask: has anyone here thought about creating an open standard headset, like an alternative to the Apple headset?
Like a totally open
Like
source
this?
hardware headset.
Yeah, the last project I was on, I was the lead solution architect of 40 really smart minds creating a keyboard prototype. And I've just been thinking during this conversation the last bit that, you know, perhaps it's time to create an organization around the standard and then go right after the hardware.
I know that
There is the Relativity headset was I think the first big example of someone doing
Project
open source
North Star
hardware.
just came out with a
yeah,
new
North
kit
Oh, and
Star,
North
for
Star.
$140.
Yeah.
Although North Star is only AR though, isn't it?
Well, that's
Like
the thing about an
it's that sort of like
organization.
optical see-through like HoloLens style.
Could be anything.
$400. That's a bargain.
Well, I'm just thinking an open SDK, open hardware. People can order the dev kits. They can order, replacement parts, and as an open standard, it's not locked to parameters that companies deal with as far as exclusivity and rights and all the other BS that corporates get locked in with.
Mhm.
But would it be possible with something like that to create to innovate a whole new way or the next way of doing displays, for example?
Well,
I
yeah, it
know
could
that
be
with
anything.
the
It could be
HoloLens, for
it
example.
could be a multiverse of different devices. I mean, that's kind of startups initially, right? You find a niche. Crowdfunding's great. I mean, we're talking. I think if something was started, and I'm not saying I'm starting an organization to build this today, but intense. If something was started today, I think it could be at market at the same time or before Apple's headset, because there's hardware vendors out there that are begging to get their hardware, used. As far as OEMs and ODMs, and ODM is original design manufacturer, which is much better than OEM. In, it's much better, trust me. So, if 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 there was a standardization to be found, and hardware can change. I think right now it's about the network, right? Kind of like Oculus Rift. I thought Oculus Rift was great. Like, I can't even remember how many years ago on my cell phone, I was using a remote desktop app to play Grand Theft Auto 5 wirelessly with a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse in first person. I mean, it wasn't the best, but it worked. Like, So I'm just still trying to imagine 10 years later, what's this Apple headset going to be? A bit better version of my Oculus Rift because I don't need my phone? Well, it's like an extra $2,000 now. I don't really need a second device. That's the whole point of having the phone with the e-waste.
Well, I think there's the right to repair movement, as lots of companies now are less on the get the parts and build your own PC. Like if you look on phones and if you look on laptops, it always come in a one locked package, and it's hard to upgrade and it's hard to fix and maintain. So if the VR came like 20 years ago, so I guess it was closer to how laptops are today, where okay, you don't have much upgradability, but you can still upgrade RAM or upgrade some stuff. But with the way like phones are manufactured today, most of the parts, and the designs are meant for, you know, buy once, then throw it to the junkyard 2 or 3 years later and buy a new version. But maybe there's a place for a company that will make a modular VR headset. Where like, it could be nice if I have still the Quest 1, and it could be nice if I could, upgrade its CPO or upgrade some other stuff of it, because it's still working great, but I don't get software updates anymore. So it's kind of, it's said to me that I just need to buy a new headset now, although I have a really good headset right now.
If you are creating a new Oculus company that is not owned by Facebook, sorry, Meta, it's always been Facebook to me. I'll be all in, because I think that we need some serious company selling and providing headsets with a sort of open market. I'm not even saying it should be totally open, but as open as can be, running A-frame, running hubs. I think that's pretty much needed right now, and I don't see Apple doing this, and for sure Meta's not going to do this.
Yeah, if there was like open OS for XR, like we have Android or we have Linux, so like Linux or Android for headsets with OpenXR built in.
Now, what about IPFS for the server time? Because that's really the effective cost here, is the runtime on the 3D environments, which is okay when you look at one or two of them, but when you create a multiverse for people to, host their own communities and things. So I guess, because it's something I've thought about a bit in the past for other clients and projects, but if a module based headset for an organization was to be founded, how does that look internationally, right? Because then there's like safety concerns and other things. So maybe one headset isn't going to work. Like, maybe there's a couple for different different jurisdictions and break it up that way, to make things easier for compliance. But I just I don't like what I see, especially like when you look at the model of quantum right now in quantum engineering, and there's really only a couple companies that can provide any type of resource access, both for universities, private and government, really. And so anyone who's trying to develop in the quantum space right now, just in a software spec, is going to be locked to their SDKs on their platform, and the long-term cost is pretty great. It's not something cheap. So although it's new technology and all that good stuff, the case model is still showing that, when we're only provided like 3 options and they triple the API costs on us overnight, like, what do we do, right?
Yeah, but that's a general internet question, right? IPFS addresses server relationships and in general, and not VR or XR or something like that. I totally agree. Megacorps shouldn't own this whole space, but for the, let's say, the headset problem, it's not really relevant if it's IPFS or regular internet, unless I understood you wrong.
Well, for every instance that's running, if it's on IPFS, you can use the community essentially for decentralized network, to offset some of that. So like if you're, let's say you're Sony and you want the ultimate Sony experience, right? It's on that platform. Instead of utilizing, we'll just call it Project Jackal, and you know they want to be on the Jackal metaverse, then um, there's either pay to play. There's a couple different models, but I think with IPFS it makes more sense because with an SDK kit, everyone just creates their own world and then they connect in.
I totally agree, but this applies to the whole internet, right? This is not a specific VR, XR, AR thing. But I agree. That's something that.
Well, okay, so I've been on this for a couple of years, and I've been saying this. What I call my model is Supernode, right? It's not. There's really nothing public about it, but I have the model, and um, instead of everyone being on World Wide Web, it's CCC, and you could spend that name a few different ways: community, cryptology connection, whatever. But CCC dot domain dot sub, which it's essentially a new interweb. It's not the World Wide Web. It's not supposed to be the World Wide Web, which removes all the protocol limitations. Potentially including HTTP could be restricted entirely. So that changes things pretty quick. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, but at the same time, I don't think I don't like, I guess, what I've been seeing from a consumer confusion point, because everyone gets locked like into one platform again. So even if it's one platform with the best intent to be the most open, it's still one platform on a .com. So by creating a new interweb, specifically for IPFS metaverse, type stuff, essentially that's gonna make Apple and others port in onto that verse. Is that what is the internet? Hey, come use my platform, not your platform, right?
That's a bold approach, and I think that was attempted parallel to Tim Berners-Lee www. So don't remember the name of this guy who did this.
Yeah, I appreciate your time with that. It's not something I'm like actively building and coding, right? It's just something that I see as a model. And if there was to be an organization created around a headset, which I think is needed right away, that could be done really quick. Looking long term into what we're talking about here as far as metaverse. I think finding a common ground for everyone, which I haven't really kept up on it much the last year, but there's different object packages, right, that can be taken from one platform to the next, which the idea of tokenizing these assets on a standard chain or something. It's interoperability that's, I think, for me, what's missing right now in the market, because I want to be able to go from Facebook portals or whatever it's called to VR chat to the next verse, and which I'm sure people here are aware of Web 5 and what that model is, and so we're close, very close. I appreciate everybody's time. I'm gonna have to take off, get ready for work. So.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by.
I think that this is something that can be added to the OAuth, because you can log in and register with Google, with Facebook, with GitHub, with lots of companies now. They have their own OAuth option, and the same as they have like a username and name and email and thumbnail. They can have like a VRM model that you can use in every service. It's just someone need to make the first step. The same as we have like the G avatar or GR avatar. I don't remember the name of the service that.
Gravatar?
Yeah, in the days of the blogs and the blog sphere, you can register your email as this is the thumbnail for my email. So when I'm commenting on this blog post, I want this thumbnail to represent me. So the same can be with, virtual avatar, and have your data using a OAuth service.
Yeah, the Gravatar idea was basically, I think, a semantic web, and the metaverse thought was actually it was Second Life. I hate to say this, but after that it was Open Simulator, and Open Simulator tried to invent or try to implement an open source metaverse thing, but all of this didn't go anywhere, I think.
Well, you have the Metaverse Standards Forum, which is working nowadays on quite a few actual medium layer protocols, like fairly specific protocols for interop.
Is there actually been like
and-
progress on those
Well,
things?
there-
I have not kept up in the longest time.
I'm with a group called OMI, the Open Metaverse
Right.
Initiative, and those guys have a seat at the MSF table. And so at their weekly meetings, they update what happened at MSF, and they have a GLTF interoperability group. They have there's quite a few things on Avatar VRM. I don't know in that same conversation, but there's the equivalent of that. Like Jin is very intimately aware of what's going on with those guys and that stuff. He's involved quite closely, I think. So there are conversations, and they are trying to figure out how to, keep your, I don't know, your clothing when you go from one world to another world as a ownership of your NFTs, and for various reasons. But all of those things are somewhat related to standards and interoperability, and that's where I think there is some work going on with that for sure. And I agree, VRM is an excellent point in that direction.
Wow, thanks.
Yep, thanks. I guess the thing about MSF that makes me just somewhat skeptical is how there's like 1,000 voices like in there. Like I remember even when Zesty first joined there back when it was like still new, it felt like there were too many people almost. I just don't know how. I mean, I'm sure that things have progressed since we last checked in, and there very well might be, more like focused efforts between groups. I don't know. Things just seem kind of
It's a very
not super
formal
organized.
organization. So I mean,
Yeah.
it is. I mean, like if you're, I don't know, if you're in an ITU environment or IEEE kind of environment, it's at that level of getting things done. But it is actually actual. ITU and IETF both have an initiative on XYZ Metaverse Protocol Interop, and of the bodies that are actually producing GitHub repos that have pushes and that are agreeing on particular implementations, it's MSF that are, I think, driving it right now.
I guess I'll keep my eyes out. Right. It's been, I think, almost 2.5 hours now.
Yeah.
Almost 3 actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna
It's
head
1
off.
a.m. here, so good night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Good night,
Okay, bye.
everybody.
All right,
Yeah,
see you
thank
guys.
you very much
Yeah,
for putting this together.
Yeah,
Appreciate
for
it.
sure.
Thumbs up.
thanks a
See you
lot for
next
joining
time.
again.
Yeah.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. See ya.
Bye bye.